welcome back. The Africa Center in New York has made it its mission to reframe the world's understanding of Africa and to create a new narrative about the role of people of African descent in the world.
And it's also an inclusive organization that helps foster business, policy, and a cultural exchange. So joining us now is the CEO, Uzodinma Iweala. Welcome, Uzo.
Thank you for having me, Bonnie and Hannah.
Yes.
We're so happy that you're here, and the work that you're doing is so important. So can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, as you all were saying, the Africa Center it's a multidisciplinary institution that's really focused on changing people's understanding of Africa, the whole continent and all the countries, and also the diaspora. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, it's really about bringing people together to think about new visions for the continent's future. So we're both in the art of thinking about how things are and also thinking about how we want things to be. And as you said, it really is all encompassing. It's about this idea that you can't hope to understand where Africa is going and where it is if you don't look at it holistically. So how business interacts with the cultural sphere, how the cultural sphere interacts with the political sphere, and then of course, how that impacts all the people encompassed therein.
And art is a really big component when you think about culture and the art that you showcase. What kind of art do you showcase? A combination of historic pieces versus modern day? What is your perspective?
So we're for now we're mostly focusing on contemporary artists and emerging artists from the continent and also the diaspora. We've had a number of really amazing installations. I think you guys have up this exhibition we have on right now called States of Becoming, which features 17 different African artists who are immigrants to the United States making work about what it means to become an American. It's a fascinating show, and well, for those of you who are down in New York, come and see it, and hopefully it will travel around the country. We've also had artists like Hank Willis Thomas, we've had Tenji Nkosi, we've had a number of different really amazing artists from the continent and the diaspora who are really making work about what it means to be an African in this modern world. And that's something that we're really excited about. And we're really excited about being able to showcase new and emerging talent from the continent and the diaspora who are really putting that message out there.
And so what is your hope for the future, that when people are able to experience this art, to soak it in, to hear the stories of these artists, what do you hope that they take and this kind of means for the future?
Yeah, one of the things that for us, I think is really important, and I think for some of the folks who work with us, some of the folks like DRK, who's one of our funders, or some of the other funders, is really about this idea of creating a new vision for the continent's future. And we hope that by bringing people into the art and by having people immersed in these discussions about who we are as a people, who we are as a diaspora, and how that impacts the way that we see the world and the world sees us, we're able to influence and center the continent in the present day conversation. Africa has always been at the center of events in the world, whether economically, culturally, socially, but we don't get that recognition as much as we should. And our hope is that as a center, by bringing people into these new narratives with these exciting individuals who are making that work, we'll be able to do that.
The first thing that came to mind, even though it's fictional, was that scene at the United Nations in Wakanda Forever, where they're basically calling out these other countries for taking advantage of all of the great things that the continent of Africa had to offer. But from your perspective, what are some other standouts in pop culture that are showcasing Africa in a positive way?
I mean, we could be here for hours, but I'll try to give you the highlights. I'm partial, obviously, to Nigerian music. My family background is Nigerian. So you've got all the Afro beats that you're looking at, obviously Nollywood, but you've got amazing talent, again, from across the continent. We've featured artists from Ethiopia. We've featured artists from South Africa. We've done musical performances with artists from Uganda, from the Congo. We've just had a whole array of people from all over the continent, and of course the diaspora, who are really, just putting their heart and soul into the creative work that they do. And I think what's really important to note is that it's not just about the cultural performance, but in that work, they're putting out these messages about who we are as people, political messages, activist messages that really help to rearrange the way that people see the continent. And that's what's really important. It's that connection of those two things that I think is one of the most amazing things about what we're able to do, and what certainly I get to do on a daily basis.
And I do want to note that you have a local organization, DRK, which people can look more into to learn more. But Uzo, thank you so much for joining us today.
Sure. Thank you very much for having me.